This is Olivia's friendship bracelet. This is Olivia's Polaroid wall. And this is Olivia, my goddaughter.
Hello.
Hello.
And I'm W. Kamau Bell,
What's up?
a comedian, a director, a Peabody Award winner.
That's me.
A four-time
Slow down, your mom. This isn't all about you.
Oh, sorry about that. Back to Olivia. Sort of.
This is so much fancier than I was expecting.
So I'm here to tell you Olivia's story,
Okay.
how she became a paralegal at the Department of Justice and somehow found her way into antitrust? Her job is complicated. So in addition to getting to know her, I brought along some experts. Max runs a nonprofit. Kathy is a partner at a law firm. And
Time out. Do I need to turn my fan off?
that's my friend Luke.
I'm a combat sports analyst. I cover mixed martial arts and boxing anytime people are trying to hurt each other. Physically.
I promise this will all make sense. You'll see. The stereotype of public servants is middle-aged, middle management, middling bureaucrats who are just emotionlessly punching a time clock until retirement.
I forgot to punch out.
But that's not Olivia.
No.
She's smart, she cares, and she wants to make a difference. And she's cool. So why would a 24-year-old woman with such a bright future choose the civil service, you ask? And what's it like to work in the federal government? And how can our government keep talents like her and attract more? Well, you got a lot of questions. Let's rewind. Meet baby Olivia. Aww. She was born in Florida in 1999 and adopted by two white lesbians,
If you're picturing the caricature, respectfully, you've nailed it.
Mary and Martha. Well, actually, she was only adopted by one white lesbian who couldn't even admit she was a lesbian because...
Queer people couldn't adopt legally. So when my mom, Mary, came to get me in Florida, she had to sign paperwork that said, I am not gay. I have never been gay. I promise to not be gay in order to take me home.
Wow, I didn't know about that.
Florida, 1999.
You might say Olivia was born to have big opinions.
Well, I've always been involved in politics and interested in politics because of the way that it touches my family.
But Olivia's family didn't live in Florida. See, Mary and Martha lived in Maine, and that's where they were all headed. Two white lesbians and a newborn black baby.
I spent ages 0 to 5 in Portland, Maine.
Portland, Maine, aka the other white Portland.
I became a micro-celebrity. Our family did as well. As part of a narrative around Portland is changing. Portland's getting diverse. Like, look at this queer couple. Look at their beautiful daughter.
Olivia even ended up on a flyer, encouraging people to visit downtown Portland. Come to downtown Portland. You might even see our black child. Long story short,
My family wanted us to live somewhere where everyone looked like me.
and they needed a city that was, like Portland, super gay. So they did the thing that everybody does in this situation.
I think there was this detailed spreadsheet.
What?
And there were different criteria, like black population, queer population, and like what the school system was like there.
Just kidding. Nobody does that.
We're a big spreadsheet family.
Yes,
generally.
yes.
Out of that spreadsheet, a clear winner emerged.
We moved to Oakland, California.
Oakland is the perfect place for a black future world changer. From the Black Panther Party, to hometown hero Ryan Coogler's Black Panther, to Black Lives Matter, co-founded by Oakland's own black and queer Alicia Garza.
Isn't it a crime-filled hellhole, though?
No, that's propaganda.
Oakland is morally bankrupt.
Politically, it's completely aligned with me and my family.
And Oakland is also where this guy came into her life. Hi, me.
And what do you remember about meeting me?
I think you and Martha picked me up from school.
Look how young and good looking I was.
We were in the car, and I put my arm up against yours, comparing our skin tones, and then I was like, all right.
Shortly after that, I was invited to be on Olivia's Council of Godparents. But Olivia and her family, they don't call me Godfather.
My family calls you Auntie Kamau.
Why does your family call me Auntie Kamau?
Because gender is what you make it.
Being a black woman, having two white lesbian moms, and believing that gender is a social construct, Olivia has a lot going on.
Yeah, I do.
Oakland is where she learned how to deal with the way America looks at all that, and it's where she learned how she could use her voice to make things better. See, she's She's always been a public servant.
So gay marriage was legalized in California in 2008. My family played a huge role in that. I was 8 calling, phone banking voters about voting no on Prop 8. And we went to protests, and I've got a sign, and I'm marching across the street. So 2nd and 3rd grade were all about legalizing gay marriage in California.
In the brief window in 2008 that same-sex marriage was legal in California, Olivia's moms got married. And then they adopted their second daughter, Carter. Carter's mixed Black and Latina.
What, Mommy?
Then came 2015. The Supreme Court finally made marriage equality the law of the land.
We were at home, but we ran out into the street. Everyone around us is pumping up, dancing, and Martha was just crying on my shoulder. For my family, it was a huge, relief.
These are Olivia's spreadsheets. One for internships, one for colleges. Because again,
we pick everything by spreadsheet, especially schools.
Each spreadsheet has its own specific categories. For college, the school had to be
at least 5% Black.
Why only 5% Black when the country is 14% Black?
Because if we raised it more, a lot of the school choices would go away.
The bar is low, everybody. But 5% is great compared to the percentage of Black folks in the DOJ's antitrust division. It's only 4%. Luckily, her mom's alma mater, Smith College in Massachusetts, hit the 5% threshold.
At Smith College, I double majored in government and the study of women and gender.
Being Black and wanting to be around Black people and work in politics, it makes sense that after college, Olivia would choose to move to D.C.
I had it in my head, I'm gonna love D.C., I'm gonna work on the Hill, I'm gonna do the young in politics thing. I love how Black D.C. is. This is by far the Blackest place I've ever lived.
And while Olivia did choose where she lived, she didn't choose antitrust. Antitrust chose her.
I wanted to work for the Civil Rights Division because it felt like a more obvious way to change the world, make America more equitable and safe for everyone. But in many ways, I've found the ability to think that way about antitrust law.
How? Let's start with a quick Antitrust 101.
Explain antitrust to people who don't know what it is.
Antitrust is a system of laws that are supposed to help the American consumer when companies are participating in monopolies.
What's a monopoly?
A monopoly is when you have a certain percent of market share of your product. So if I am selling pencils and I own 80% of the pencils, that's a monopoly.
Why is a monopoly bad?
Yeah, well, if I own all the pencils or even the vast majority of the pencils, I can charge you whatever I want.
But some people would say, isn't that the American dream, to make as much money as you can?
I think the American dream shouldn't impede on other people's American dream.
That's exactly the concept.
Kathy O'Neill is an antitrust expert.
I've been an antitrust nerd for 25 plus years.
Kathy started as a paralegal like Olivia, fell in love with antitrust, and spent over 15 years at the DOJ. Now she's a partner at Cooley, a major law firm. And she's also a
bird nerd.
This is Kathy's favorite bird, a goldfinch.
Hi!
Kathy's here to break down the 2 MVPs of antitrust laws.
There's the Sherman Act.
Remember this?
And there's the Clayton Act.
The Sherman Act focuses on
conduct between companies that are competing in the marketplace.
The Clayton Act focuses on
mergers,
making sure companies don't combine in ways that hurt competition.
The Federal Trade Commission and the Department of Justice are our 2 federal agencies that are watchdogs enforcing the antitrust laws.
The funny thing about antitrust is that once you start thinking about it, you see it everywhere. From Google, to Visa, to JetBlue, to your favorite canned tuna, to the grocery store, to the biggest publishing companies in the world. Then there's Federal Trade Commission Chair Lena Khan.
Competition is better than monopolies.
Who's so popular that she has done the impossible, uniting Senator Bernie Sanders and Representative Matt Gaetz. And in a bold gambit, Elon Musk is suing a group of advertisers who he claims are illegally boycotting X. Bold considering that he told those advertisers to
go yourself. Go yourself.
Calm down.
But in my opinion, there is one product in American history that makes the best case for antitrust.
Do you remember the Sports Illustrated football phone?
Oh my God, amazing! We have the football phone. We have the DOJ to thank for the football phone.
It's Sports Illustrated's most exciting Christmas gift ever, the football phone.
Gather around, Gen Z and Gen Alpha. Listen to this spooky tale. Ooh. Before 1982, phones in America were very different from today because
AT&T was the only game in town.
And that meant that there weren't a lot of choices when you wanted a phone.
There was the wall-mounted one, there was the dial, there was the push-button desktop version. You couldn't even buy the equipment. You actually had to pay a rental fee each month to use the equipment. So very little choice, very little innovation.
In 1983, the DOJ won its lawsuit against AT&T for monopolizing the phone market. And thanks to Judge Harold Green, AT&T was broken up. That victory sparked competition, paving the way for the variety of phones and affordable services that we all take for granted today.
Is one of the tech companies that is going to have an antitrust case against them, does their name rhyme with Glamazon?
There is a pending case against Amazon, yes.
Jeff Bezos, the co-founder of Amazon, owns the Washington Post. So technically he paid me to ask that question. Thanks, Jeff.
Are you familiar with any of the antitrust cases leveled at the UFC?
No.
Whoa, 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 what is happening here?
That's okay. For this topic, I brought in a ringer, my friend and Ultimate Fighting Championship expert, Luke Thomas. Luke and his fellow mixed martial arts journalist Brian Campbell host Morning Combat, an award-winning MMA and combat sports podcast.
I love fights. I love the science of it.
In addition to his love of MMA, Luke brings an intellectualism and critical eye to a sport that doesn't always want that.
My mentions are a graveyard on Twitter.
But when I ask him his thoughts on whether or not the UFC has antitrust issues, let's just say he's got an opinion.
In my opinion, it is not even ambiguous. The UFC is a monopoly.
Here's the problem. Actually, there are two problems. Problem one.
There is no fighters union, there is nothing.
Problem two.
The UFC makes 90 cents of every dollar in the entire industry.
That's crazy.
They have no competition and they have no regulatory mechanism that forces that competition to raise wages over what you'd ordinarily have.
But when someone says,
we gotta get the government in on this,
understandably, our reaction is often,
no, we don't wanna do that.
But the reality is,
dude, if it's not the force of law, money's not going up. Period.
For the four major American professional sports leagues, the athletes get about half the revenue.
Because they have a collective bargaining agreement because they unionized.
But UFC fighters get
20% or less.
20% for this, 20% for this, 20% for this. Yikes.
The entire industry is built on taking the people that are most important and making them the most disposable over time.
Several former fighters have taken the UFC to court in two separate class action lawsuits alleging that UFC violates antitrust laws. They were close to settling for $335 million, but then something surprising happened.
Well, the judge took a look at it and was like, no.
The judge, Richard Boulware, shot it down because he thought the fighters were asking for too little. That's my kind of judge. The settlement has been up to $375 million, but the judge still has to agree. Cases like this that want to create a level playing field for everyone is why my goddaughter Olivia is fired up about antitrust.
I'm defending the American public from increased prices on goods.
See, Monopoly is only good when it's a board game. Even then it's boring. But in real life,
show me the monopoly in consumer life that did better at delivering on the consumer experience over time. They don't exist. They don't exist.
I think it's an important part of the American ethos. We all love a bargain. We want lower prices. We want better products. We want more innovative products. And competition is the key driver of all of those things.
Effective antitrust is such a boon to the economy. It is such a boon to the consumer. It is such a boon to fairness across the board.
America was supposed to be built to be fair to everyone. But we know that it's still mostly a goal and not a reality. And we can't hit that goal without public servants. To put it plainly,
we need a new generation in public service.
Exactly. This is Max Stier. I call him the Mr. Rogers of government.
I'm the president and CEO of the Partnership for Public Service. We are a nonpartisan, nonprofit organization dedicated to a better government and stronger democracy.
Is it hard to be nonpartisan in this current environment?
It's not hard to be nonpartisan, it's hard to be perceived as nonpartisan.
Touché. Max's job is to
get good talent into government.
When I first brought it to you and said, hey, my goddaughter's a paralegal on the antitrust division, what was your immediate response?
I was thrilled, excited, because my first job in government was actually working in the antitrust division at the Department of Justice. And one of the proudest accomplishments of my life was starting that paralegal program.
Whoa, what? Like, say more about that.
The reason for starting the program is my boss told me to. Her name is Ann Bingaman.
Ann Bingaman was an assistant attorney general from 1993 to 1996.
When I hear a story like your goddaughter, I'm thrilled.
Because?
We need that talent. Our country needs it. Our future depends on that talent making this choice. We have one tool for collective action to deal with our biggest problems as our society. It's our government, the only entity that has the imprimatur of the public and taxpayer resources behind it. There are 1.5 million nonprofits out there focused on all kinds of issues of public interest. And our view is you make our government better at doing what it's supposed to be doing, and it raises all boats on all those other issues.
While we're on the subject of government employees,
let's say there was a person running for president who their plan was to fire 50,000 government employees on their first day in office. Is that a good idea or a bad idea?
Boy, that'd be a terrible idea. I'm in the bag for antitrust.
This is nonsense.
This is a really important issue here.
Just like wiping out people, especially if you don't replace them, fundamentally we can't get the work done that we should.
Of course, we are polarized, but like, what are we polarized around? This is one kind of issue where we don't have to do that.
As somebody who worked there for 15 years, I can tell you, the people at the Antitrust Division and the Federal Trade Commission, the staff there, they work incredibly hard and they don't have the resources they need, and they have a big job. It's a David and Goliath story.
We actually had a spoil system in the 19th century. We had a president that was assassinated by a disgruntled job seeker, President Garfield, and that assassination led to a movement away from the spoil system to a merit-based professional civil service. And unfortunately, that's now been challenged for the first time. And we have former President Trump, I will say the name, who has proposed and frankly tried in his first term to implement a process of changing that civil service, upending it, and converting it into a political process.
You know it's bad when Mr. Nonpartisan gets partisan. It's been a year since Olivia started as a paralegal at the DOJ. She's applying to law school this fall. And after law school, it's back to the DOJ, right?
I mean, honestly, I totally might, unfortunately, go work for some corporation doing the exact opposite of this, making a ton of money.
Wait, what?
That'll depend on if in 4 years I owe an institution $400,000.
Man, I hadn't thought about the tuition part. Damn.
The older I get, the less I think I can change the world. The goal now is just to survive it.
No! See, I see Olivia as a world changer. Her moms definitely see her that way. Kathy supports her theory that antitrust can be a part of delivering equity to this nation, and Max says he needs her in the government.
How does it feel to think that your future job prospects relies so much on whether or not you owe a school that doesn't need the money?
Yeah, the whole system is fundamentally flawed.
Whew, not even a good lawyer could argue that. Instead of even entertaining the foolish idea of firing these people, shouldn't we be trying to figure out ways to get more of these people? These are good people working hard every day to make our lives better, more equitable, safer, and best of all, cheaper. Why would you be mad at these people? Be mad at the people who are trying to do the opposite. They don't work in the DOJ, they work in Congress. And look, I don't care if Olivia becomes the next Lena Khan, or the next Kathy O'Neill, or the next Max Stier, although it would be weird if she becomes the next Luke Thomas. But I do care that she has a chance to do whatever she wants.
Being a wise woman has nothing to do with gender. We can all be wise women, and we should all strive to be wise women.
She is talented, and she wants to make the world a better place. It would be tragic if her tuition or anything else stopped her from being a part of saving this country. Next time you buy your tuna, pour some out for the civil servants who saved you some money. Because as Max pointed out, our country needs Olivia and all the other Olivias it can get.